On the day of the exam, the boy clearly could have scored a perfect score. Instead, he deliberately wrote all his answers wrong. After his younger brother, who was sitting a few rows in front of him, submitted his paper, he hastily erased the wrong answers. With the remaining 10 minutes, he answered all the questions correctly. He did this because he was a reincarnator. In his previous life, his brother had not only completely copied his exam paper, but had also reported him to the Education Bureau as a cheater. In a fury, their father had pushed him, causing him to hit an iron frame. When he opened his eyes, he found that he had been reborn back to the day before the exam. This time, the boy vowed he would never let his brother succeed again. So he proactively asked the teacher to sit in front of his brother. Because different exam versions were given to the front and back desks, if the boy had version A, his brother could only have version B. Versions A and B had completely different questions. He thought that this time his brother would be unable to copy his answers. Confidently, he then completed all of the questions, but when he went to submit his paper, his brother beat him to it. He glanced at his brother's paper and found that it was not version B, but an identical copy of his version A. He had even copied the essay on the last question word for word. He was very curious how his brother had managed this. Even if his brother knew him inside and out, it would be impossible to copy every single word of the essay from a different desk. Later, the boy learned that his brother had purposely spilled water on the B version. The teacher then gave the only remaining A version to his brother. Upon learning the truth, the boy lamented that his own carelessness had decided the outcome. He resolved to be even more vigilant in the second exam. When it was almost time for the math exam, the boy complained of feeling unwell and again asked the teacher to change seats. This time he moved himself to the very last row. His brother, seeing this, became extremely anxious. After all, math was a difficult subject, and with 6 rows between them, the boy believed that from such a distance his brother certainly could not copy him. Once he received his exam paper, he confidently began to answer the questions. Meanwhile, his brother was fretting over his blank paper. When the boy reached the final, most challenging problem, he planned to use a method that no other student in the country would know. It was his own technique combining algebra and geometry. Seeing that time was almost up and his brother might still have a blank sheet, the next moment, his brother again raced to submit his paper before him. The boy stood stunned at the scene. What surprised him even more was that his brother had used the same combined algebra and geometry method on the final problem, and he even told the teacher it was his own original method. At that moment, the boy who had been copied was completely dumbfounded. He couldn't understand how his brother could copy him from so far away. To avoid being reported as a plagiarist again, he erased his original answers and switched to a different problem-solving method. When he went to submit his paper, he passed by his brother's desk and sneaked a look at his brother's scratch paper. He found that the answers and the solution steps were exactly the same as his. At that moment, he felt as if he was being watched, but in that instant, he couldn't figure out where the problem lay. He suspected that his pen might have been fitted with a surveillance device, but when he disassembled it, there was nothing inside. If his answers were copied again, he too would not escape the fate of being reported in his previous life. So he sat there trying to come up with a solution. Seeing that time was running out and he hadn't answered, his brother looked back at him, worried he would hand in a blank paper. So he pretended to have a heart attack. The teacher called the medical team to take him to the infirmary. At that moment,